Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we're taking a walk down memory lane, so to speak, because we're testing one of BMW's oldest models in the current range, if you can believe it. I'm talking about the BMW 7 Series. The G01 was launched about 4 years ago, and it was a revolutionary car back then. That's because it introduced a lot of new technology that we can find on current BMWs today with a lot smaller badges, if you know what I mean. You can find the technology first introduced on the 7 Series. Now you can find it on the 5 Series, the X3, the X4, and so on. So the BMW 7 Series is about to get replaced. Next year we'll see the facelift of the 7 Series, which is bound to bring some small exterior design changes as usual and some more tech inside. Now, according to my sources, the new 7 Series will get a bigger grille up front, slimmer headlights, and a bit more panache on the rear end. What that means is we'll probably see a resemblance to the X7 in the rear department. Inside the cabin, we'll get all the new technologies unveiled on the new 8 Series and X5, as in the live professional cockpit, the personal assistant, and some more driving assistant aids. So let's talk about the car I am driving today. This is the 730D, and it is the best-selling model BMW makes in the 7 Series range. That's because it has everything you could possibly need. It has just the right amount of power, just the right amount of torque. It is incredibly efficient. It is refined because there's a straight 6 under the hood, so it doesn't vibrate a lot. And you know, it's the full package. I know some people would say you could never buy a diesel 7 Series, you have to have a petrol one, but I beg to differ. This engine is absolutely brilliant. It's the B57 unit. It's the current best-selling 3-liter diesel in the BMW range. It has a 3-liter displacement, 1 turbo, 265 horsepower, and 620 Newton meters of torque. Now, those figures may not say a lot on paper, but they do say a lot when they are put to work under the hood of a 730D. This is the xDrive model, which means it has all-wheel drive, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because, as you might have noticed from my reviews on this channel, I don't really recommend getting xDrive because you only get to use it like a couple of times a year, depending on where you live, of course. If you live in Scandinavia, you might want to get it. If you live in Siberia, of course, you might want to get it. But if you live in a place where it snows like 1 month a year, and during that time you can only use xDrive for what it's made, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times, it's not worth it. Because the xDrive system adds some weight to the car and increases fuel consumption. Furthermore, if you get this 7 Series, the 730D in rear-wheel drive, guys, I think you might have a bit more fun than with the xDrive model. Not to mention, the xDrive version is a bit more expensive. But getting back to this car, the 730D xDrive is a fast car. It will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.8 seconds, which is mind-blowing considering cars like the E46 M3, which is still so highly regarded by enthusiasts and is probably more than half a ton lighter and has more power, will do the same sprint in 5.4 seconds. So, as you can tell, this is a fast car, as you're about to see. So that was 0 to 62 miles an hour in 5.8 seconds. As I said, this is a fast car off the line, but nobody will actually use it to drag race. It is good to know that this car can move though, and that the engine under the hood is very well equipped to handle all the weight of the car, because yes, this is a heavy car. It tips the scale at about 2 tons, and this isn't even the long wheelbase version. This is the short wheelbase version, which means it has less room in the back for the passengers, and you can't get certain options such as the lounge option, which brings a reclining front passenger seat so you can stretch your legs, some interior design changes, and some more options like ambient lighting, which allows you to breathe at night, a fold-out table for you to work, and so on. So this is the short wheelbase version, and it might be enough for most people, but some, as you might know, the 7 Series is usually used by high-ranking executives that really sit in the back. So in that regard, you might want to go for the long wheelbase version because it offers more comfort for the rear passengers. If you decide to drive this car yourself, you might be better off with the short wheelbase version because you're gonna be sitting in the driver's seat anyway, so you'll be having more fun with a shorter wheelbase car because it is lighter. So, how much does this car sip? Well, you will be amazed at how efficient it is, both inside and outside the city. Inside the city, one of the busiest cities in the world, I tested this car, I drove it for 100 kilometers, and it drank only 9 liters of fuel. So you get around 9 liters per 100 kilometers inside the city. Outside the city though, that's where the big surprise comes. Last night I did a 100 kilometer trip, and the trip computer showed a fuel consumption of 5.4 liters per 100 kilometers covered. That's over 43 miles per gallon. That's 43 mpg. And for a car of this size with this much power, we were 4 people in the car last night, so you know we tipped over 2 tons to sip so little fuel. That is amazing. And that also means you can do 1,000 kilometers with one single tank of fuel easily. Now, getting over how efficient this car is, it also is a pleasure to drive. The one I'm driving has the optional air suspension, front and back, and that shows in the iDrive system, for example, because when you enter comfort mode, you can enter comfort plus mode, which is an even softer ride. It is basically the softest ride you can get on a BMW today. This is the most comfortable car BMW is making today, and you can really tell it is an absolute joy to drive it and to be driven in it. It covers potholes easily, even though the car has generous 19-inch wheels, 20-inch wheels, my bad. And yeah, it is a really nice place to be. I still like the interior design of the 7 Series, even though some people say it's not up to par with modern offerings, but they usually compare it to the S-Class. And the S-Class, I love the way the interior looks, and I will admit it is better, most of it is better than on a 7 Series. But the problem I have with the S-Class is the instrument cluster and the infotainment screen. They are both conjoined into one mammoth TV that sits right in front of you. It's rectangular and just doesn't fit with the rest of the interior, which has curves all over, round air vents, and so on. So it doesn't make sense to me. On the 7 Series, you get a nice instrument cluster and an iDrive screen just like it's supposed to be, and I prefer it to the S-Class. But that is a subjective matter. People will always discuss this and that. In terms of driving, the 7 Series has the edge on the S-Class. In terms of luxury and maybe design, the S-Class has the advantage over the 7 Series. That's how things have always been and will always be in when it comes to these two cars. So this car is priced at over 100,000 euros because it has a lot of options. On the outside, you have the individual moonstone color, which is absolutely brilliant, but it really needs a powerful light source to stand out, because from afar it just looks like any kind of silver or gray BMW is selling on the 7 Series, but when you get up close and you have proper light on, it will look absolutely marvelous. It does look great, which means this is a BMW individual composition. You also get these absolutely beautiful upholstery for the 7 Series. It is Alcantara leather, and it is absolutely brilliant. It feels incredible to the touch. You also get these nice wood inserts on the handles. We have extended Napa leather inside, and everything you can possibly need. Now the new 7 Series, as I said, will bring new technology, new options for the customer. It will be launched in the spring of next year, and it will have a couple of aces up its sleeve. Until then though, this has been my review of the 730D. This is the best buy in the 7 Series range, in my opinion. It is the most frugal, the cheapest, and it has everything you can possibly need inside, and it will not break the bank whenever you are leaving for a long trip. This being said, this has been my review of the G01 7 Series pre-facelift model. I will see you guys when the facelift comes out. Don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe.